Police Chief of APS, Chief Applin, as well as Major Woolfolk will give you more details about the specifics of the incident and where we stand right now. We do know 4 young people were shot here on campus, and that they are non-life-threatening injuries, and they're at Grady at this time in stable condition. Our hearts go out to these families and to these young people as they, we hope for a speedy and full recovery real soon. And we also intend to use all the resources that we have at APS, PD, APD, Atlanta Fire Rescue Department. We're here earlier today, using all the resources we have to be able to bring these individuals to justice and to also continue to end the violence that happens in communities. We're standing here on school grounds where individuals are coming to school each day to get education and be amongst their friends, and an incident like this happened. And so we want to make sure that everyone knows that our youth and their safety is our top priority. As we have stated over and over again, the relationship between the Atlanta Public Schools and the City of Atlanta has been very strong with the Atlanta Year of the Youth. And we've done a lot of amazing things to make sure we brought down violent crime over the past year and youth-related crime. But incidents like today, where young folks can have access to a gun, this is concerning and it's dangerous. APSPD was there swiftly. They were already on the scene. APD was there and Atlanta Fire Rescue was there. But we want to make sure that these young people continue to use conflict resolution to de-escalate incidents that may occur. And so that's why I'm going to ask that next week, parents, take note of this. Next week is winter break at APS. Make sure you go to our website, atlyearoftheyouth.com, and click on Safe Spaces. The recreation centers, their hours of operation are online, where you can be able to see where you can send your student for free. Boys and Girls Club, the City of Atlanta Parks and Rec, at Promise Centers and other places. While school is out, you can have safe spaces for your young person to be able to enjoy themselves, but also get some enrichment and some activities that are safe. And so there's a number of places that our nonprofit partners, as well as APS and the City of Atlanta, have designed for our kids to remain safe throughout next week and even in after-school programming. So I want to make that clear that we intend to keep you safe by having you filled with activities. And so today after school, we also encourage parents to make sure they come get their kids or have somewhere for them to go throughout the school year after school. And so I'll stop there and say that, you know, this making sure that we continue to bring down violent crime and make sure all our young people are safe is our top priority. And I just thank for the partnership of Atlanta Public Schools PD, Atlanta Police Department, as well as Atlanta Fire and Rescue for being here today and to get those kids to safety and they're at Grady right now in stable conditions. So now at this time, I'll turn it over to the APS PD Chief Applin.
Good afternoon. I am Chief Ron Applin, Chief of Police for Atlanta Public Schools. On today at approximately 4 o'clock, there was a fight that our officers responded to in the parking lot. Shortly after responding, there were shots fired. Four students were shot. Our officers were there. They immediately responded, treated the students who were wounded, summoned for additional support. Atlanta Police also arrived with additional officers from Atlanta Public Schools Police. We worked together to make sure that those students got to the hospital safely and securely, that they were treated. We're working together now to try to figure out who committed this crime. We have always been working together for quite some time. We continue to work together day in and day out. It's been one of the most cooperative efforts I've seen between Atlanta Public School Police and Atlanta Police Department. Thank you.
Chief, can you tell us
one more second. We're going to make sure Woolfolk gets a chance to speak. Major Woolfolk.
Yeah, good evening. Major Ralph Woolfolk, Criminal Investigations Division at Atlanta Police Department. As the mayor and chief indicated, we were working in a collaborative effort very early on in this investigation. We did receive that first 911 call around 4 p.m. At the time in which the Atlanta Public Schools Police Department was already on scene and working just very quickly and getting information out over the radio. The information that they were able to provide early on was critical in us being able to quickly get a vehicle stopped at Baker Road and Commercial Drive. Inside of that vehicle that we were able to stop, we were able to detain 3 individuals that were taken back to headquarters and subsequently interviewed. So as I indicated, we are still very early in this investigation. There are several facets of the investigation that we are attempting to work through in processing the scene and working collaboratively with the Atlanta Public School System. There's several items of evidentiary value that were still left here on scene, and certainly the vehicle and persons in question inside of the vehicle, of which we have not established a nexus or association to this incident yet, but we are interviewing them and they are cooperative in the investigation at this time.
Before I turn it over to him, I want to say one more thing. Right now, there are still some students that are inside the cafeteria being interviewed. They're being connected to their parents, and the parents are here picking them up. And so if you're a parent or a grandparent, continue to make sure that you stay in touch with your student as we're conducting interviews, as was mentioned by Major Woolfolk. That process is sped up. We've brought them food. It's on the way, and I've been able to talk to the young people, talk to some of the faculty and staff that's here as well, and as well as the parents. And so we're reconnecting parents with students as fast as we can, and making sure that the crime scene is being processed as quick as possible. So now I'll take your questions and pass it on to the
Chief
appropriate.
Applin.
Okay, Chief.
Can you describe then the situation where there was a fight, your officers responded, and they were there when somebody opened fire?
That is correct. They were there. There was an officer on scene while those shots were being fired. He broadcasted that over the radio, requested additional support, and we had assistance from APD and APSPD to come out to help get control of the situation.
Can you tell us this much? What sort of argument was there between the shooter or shooters and the people they were aiming at?
I don't have the specifics on that, but Major may be able to
And we'll
share more.
take that. As we indicated, it's still very early in the investigation to assign any motives to anything at this time. But as Chief indicated, we were able to get those 4 individuals that were shot on scene. There was 3 17-year-olds and an 18-year-old. They were transported to Grady Hospital, in which I am being told they are in stable condition at this time. But once again, it's still very, very early in the investigation, and we are trying to work carefully just to make sure that we dot every I and cross every T through the course of the investigation here
But
tonight.
having said that, do you think there was any sort of relationship between the suspects or the people being detained and the people who were shot?
Yeah, once again, it's still so early in the investigation, and we're working to try to gather all of that information at this
Are they
time.
male or female?
They're all males, all male victims. That's
And
correct.
you don't know if the 3 people detained, are they students?
No. So at this point in time, we do know there was a 35-year-old woman that was in the vehicle at the time. She was the mother to a 17-year-old that was inside of that vehicle, a 17-year-old female, and another male that was inside of the vehicle. All of those individuals are at headquarters, and they are cooperating with our investigation at
How
this
old is
time.
the male?
I will get the age of the male for you.
Female.
Other folks ask some questions here.
How many students do you still have in there tonight? Like, talk about the process of getting them out. I know that some parents have been waiting for some time.
Our investigators are here. Once again, we had to work through several students that were on scene. We began with approximately 100 students or so that were here, and that we needed to interview. At this point in time, I'm being told that there's about 20 more interviews that have to take place, and we are working through those very, very quickly.
Just to be clear, no one's been charged for this, correct?
Not at this time, no.
Mr. Mayor, could we have your reaction as far as this is for you went to school Europe here and just reaction to hearing this, especially on the anniversary of Parkland and that horrible occasion in Florida?
Yeah, I'm shocked and heartbroken. And this is the place where I spent 4 years of my life as a student, and I climbed this hill every day going to class. And you know, I feel sorry for the young people that have been impacted by this, those directly that's been shot, and those indirectly that were around to witness that, and those right now that's being inconvenienced. I want them to get a good night's rest tonight. I want them to know that Atlanta Police Department and APSPD are taking this very seriously and going to continue to protect their safety. I want their parents to know that we take this very seriously as well. But this is where I went to school, and this is where I've been at least a couple of times a year as mayor, coming here for various events, whether it's sports related, academic related. These are bright young people. These are kids that have a bright future. I was in there today for over an hour talking to some. A couple said they wanted to be police officers. One wants to be a carpenter. Some want to be engineers, and they shared that with me because I'm an engineer coming from this school. So they're interested in their future. And a couple of bad actors have just disrupted this day, but they're not going to disrupt their dreams, and we're going to help them get to where they're going in life, so that this school, a school of excellence, one that produces great citizens of our city, we want to make sure that this school doesn't have a black eye on it because of this issue. These kids are working hard. We've gotten almost to the end of this school year without incident, and we plan to carry forward with the rest of this school year with safety in our minds.
You talk about going forward. Are there going to be any additional safety precautions tomorrow? Anything to make parents feel better? Thoughts of retaliation or anything like that?
Well, Chief has already, Chief, you can answer what tomorrow's going to look like.
Sure. There's going to be a lot of visibility by our officers. We'll also have the assistance of Atlanta Police Department, and we're going to be very visible. You're going to be very noticeable on campus tomorrow, in the hallways, outside as they come into the school. Very visible, so that we can make sure that they feel a lot more comfortable tomorrow when they come to school.
And Chief, just to clarify about the fight that brought this on, were the 4 students fighting each other, or were they fighting another group that ended up with the guns?
You want to answer that, Major?
Yeah, once again, we actively have investigators on scene that's combing through all of the video footage, making sure that we just meticulously process the scene. So it's still too early to put out those types of details, but we are working diligently through the investigation.
We've got our last question right here.
I want to ask that.
Stop right here. Hold on. We got our last question right here.
Was there a text message, email message, any communication sent out from the school when this incident happened?
Yes, as soon as possible after the incident, so we could get an understanding of what took place. A message did go out to the families of Mays High School. Yes.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.